Hello folks and welcome to Erannorth Chronicles. Today we will be going more in depth on the synergies and we'll be seeing some additional mechanics of the game like shapeshifting, like ripple effects, like more in depth playing with allies, and we will be doing that by playing with a pre-generated character exactly as is. I will just go and click play. So we are in Graceburg, and here we can pick our first perk. And for this I will be picking the old ways. And the reason for that is to get Dance Under the Moon in the second level and show you how you can make the most of multicast as well. So the old ways, we got that. Let's go quickly over our deck and our deck builder. I pressed B here, and we need 30 cards in our deck. What I am going to do is empty the deck completely and show you an approach of building the deck. But before that, let's go and see something else. This button here, if you click it, it will open. Will show you your ripple effects, that is, things that conditions that when they are triggered they will create an additional effect. For example, if you play a card that has the festering keyword, then you will inflict or try to inflict bleed to 2 random enemies. And if you play a card that has the coven keyword, you will be getting synergy envy. And if you wonder what that is, you can just go ahead and type envy here. Target enemy suffers X damage +1 for every hit point you are missing. So if you are missing like 20 hit points, envy of 1 equals 21 damage. I don't think we'll be having any cards with envy or coven at this point in our career, but we'll see. And you can also click whatever is hyperlinked and jump directly to the entry there. Okay, so I want to build a deck that makes use of control, of course, and festering if possible. And since the topic of today's lesson is synergies and multicast as well, and allies and shapeshifting. So we'll be learning many things today. Let's start by building our deck, and I will start by searching here for festering. Festering is an effect that in order to work, the enemy must already be bleeding. So Blood Hex will only apply bleed on the first time you play it, because the enemy doesn't have any bleeding counters at the moment that the effect resolves. But if they did, they would be suffer intense damage and also gain venom regardless of any venom resistance. The next thing that we want to add is cards that gives synergies, and strain is a synergy. It makes your next action cost less action points if it's negative, or more if it's positive, and you can stack cards together. If they ignore synergies, they won't break this effect. We'll be seeing that. Your next action gets experience that refer to an action like a card, not you, playing this, and your next card will gain experience, and meaning that it will level up faster. So we will see that in action as well. Of course, we need also some allies, so I will type here so allies, or just click this only allies. Yes, only allies, and we'll be adding the allies as well, and also the 0, the cards which also have a keyword you might remember or not. This card will shapeshift us. This card is the most powerful damage card we have. We can make our enemies fight for us. We can add that in order to show you how morale ability also works, and maybe a stun or two. Maybe a jinx. Maybe one of the healing spells, just to view as many cards of this character as possible. So we are here. We could optimize the deck if we wanted automatically. We could trim 4 cards, but I simply won't, and jump into action. Okay, so the first thing we see here is that we have 2 allies, and their attributes are power, health, and lifespan. Lifespan means that they can stay in the battlefield for 8 turns, and once this timer runs out, it runs out each turn, they will leave play. Now the moment we will play this card, we are basically summoning a Night Hag, so the connection with her card stops, and we have a Night Hag character in play. Now here we can also see that this character will have sub-strength as their ability, so we will be able to use this special as long as the ally is down here, and also has a morale ability which triggers whenever this ally deals combat damage. So when we attack and deal damage to an enemy, then we are playing a bonus effect that gives vulnerable. Okay. The other important thing to notice is that the Leylines here benefit Venom, Acid in particular, and and Astral and Dark. And since these allies are dark, they will get a +4, the +4 in affinity in their power, and an extra bonus in health, which you can see if you go here. We got a +4 in power and double that in health. This is this bonus right here that we got. And also if I go ahead and attack, each one of us will deal damage, but my damage roll was 8 and the Leyline modifier was 4. That's again this 4. So we got to deal 12 damage to Galdorak Archer. That was of dark type, because my Night Hag has an element that is dark, and because we dealt damage, we also gave vulnerable to this enemy. Okay. Now let's see what will happen if we kill this enemy with our Hag. So now he will die. What will happen to the vulnerable? Will it get lost? No, it will pass to the next enemy, because by the time this one killed, there was, let's say, a morale bonus effect in the air that was about to land, and it landed on the first available enemy, this guy here. So that's why he got vulnerable. It's for the morale ability of this Hag, because she killed with her attack the first enemy, and you will also notice that both of them got damage, because when your allies attack, they exchange damage. So now let's assume that you don't want an ally, you have 2 slots, you want to summon something else. You can just control click and dismiss any ally that is unprotected. And if they are protected, you can either unprotect them or do this, and this can kill anytime, even a protected ally. Okay, so back to Synergies. Let's channel Ether. So we get a base damage of 3. No one of these cards deal damage. We have an Acid card and we have an Astral card, and we amplified Astral, so it would make sense that our Astral card here will be dealing much more damage. So this card will deal 8 to 4 Astral, 8 to 14, Astral, and this one will deal 4 to 8. They both have this bonus here, the affinity from the Leyline we are in. So because of the Leyline and the astral affinity, we are getting a +4 damage bonus. We rolled a 7. The Galdorak has 3 vulnerable stacks, and our 7 plus the 3 plus the 2 he had, so the 7 plus the 5 of his vulnerable stacks equal 12. Now this effect also reduces our amplify, because each time we use amplify it's reduced by 25% down to 2, so it won't go more down if we had another astral card. We don't. We also draw a card, so all in all we got to deal 15 damage because we added our synergy of base 3 to an astral card. And now, since we ran out of astral cards, we'll be adding it here. The enemy will die from negative status. This guy is harmless. He will fight with my Night Hag and give me flank. That's what single combat will do now, because we have an ally in play. So, passing. Let's minimize the log till we need it again. Now I want to tell you something about Stun and Bewitch. Stun and Bewitch, for starters, have a chance to be resisted even if the enemy has not high resistance to them. In this case we apply them, but if this enemy takes any damage, then these effects will break and he will be able to attack us again. So let's try something else now. If we attack with our ally at this point, the estimated damage to our ally is 0. That's because he's incapacitated and he can't harm my ally. He's stunned, bewitched or frozen. He won't deal damage, he will only take damage. But if somehow he survives, then these two counters will break. And indeed, he survives and the counters break, and that's because my attack removed these counters from him. So let's finish him off. We can just give him some bleed, and that's a negative status which will kill him. I will just ignore the merchant. So as you can see, the lifespan of my ally will be go down as I advance node. She also healed some hit points because she was active and unused. And when you are healing, you can also target one of your allies if the card doesn't specify a target, and heal them instead. So, Gambit, defend or synergy damage, or your next action gets 3 XP, and negative strain. So we got the synergy damage and we got the negative strain, which everyone gets, and now our cards cost 0 action points. Okay, 1 action point less, this one costs 2. So let's add that. As you can see, adding it to Effigy of Pain won't have much of a return. Adding it to an astral card, it's much better. So let's do something else. I will discard this card to play the bleed on this guy. So now that he is bleeding, I didn't break the synergy, because the discard effect ignores synergies. So now adding this card here will give both Festering and bleed and deal damage. And he will now die from all these negative effects. Because we played a festering card, we also applied bleed to 2 random enemies. Now let's go for our backpack. I will draw my cauldron, get this foul concoction and play it on this guy here. So inevitable double healing, even if he's hurt, he now won't be able to heal. We also added some venom and weaken to him, and this card ignores synergies, so we can't add effigy of pain to it. I will just attack. And now he will also die from the negative status. Because we don't have any more cards, we can't apply this synergy, and it will be lost as we advance the turn. Okay, so control action will control this enemy. We have 2 ally slots, and now he takes up the second ally slots, and for 2 turns he will be fighting for me. Now unfortunately this node will reduce his lifespan by 1, and what can I do is also discard coax, and this will give my allies +1 lifespan, like so. So 6 and 3 now. And since this guy doesn't have any abilities, we can give him a morale. So doing that will now give him the morale that whenever he attacks, he's losing 4 hit points and gains 8 power, which will be quite useful. The chest is locked, we don't mind, let's move on. Okay, so let's attack with our new friend here. Or first, let's notice something else. Now notice that when I play this hag, it has not power 10 like it had before, and that's because these bonuses and penalties, they never change, but the value fluctuate as you advance nodes. So now summoning a night hag will give us a 9 in power instead of a 10, because the Leyline effect is a bit weaker. Okay, so we attacked with our hag, we'll also attack with our skirmisher, which grew in power because of the profane gift we gave him, this morale ability with the 2 red crossed swords. And now I can just dismiss him if I want, like control click, and bring in my next hag, which I can just do this or right click here. So let's try this. We got the clairvoyance option. I will use cackle. Play channel ether, and now we can add damage to one of our fortels, which is also a fortless, meaning that it won't drop concentration and will also gives us a -2 AP cost reduction to our next card. It can also rally hags, assuming we had any in our deck. Now our hags are also happen to be witches, and we could play Call of the Night if only it was night. It's not, and this action will fail. Let's attack this guy. Now this one has an immunity to bewitch, so we won't be able to affect him, but we may get to stun him, and we'll only get this guy to flank. Now the reason I did that is because of this. Enemies with an intent to flank will instead attack if you have more or equal vulnerable stacks than your level when they act. So if this guy flanks and breaks all our defense and drops us to -1 vulnerable because that's our level 1, this guy will attack instead, and we don't want that. Okay, he wouldn't have broke our defense, but why risk it? Okay, so now it's time to shapeshift, and we have the reveal true self that we need to target ourselves, and for 2 turns, this is an echo action. It gets played automatically each time we end our turn. We will be retaining our hug form, and I will show you after I end my turn what this does. So now that we are shape-shifted, we can also discard this card to draw 1 instead of playing it. And so this. Festering Cripple effect, applied bleed. Let's attack with our hug. You will conceal and my turn. So because I am shape-shifted to my hug form, I played automatically a card called Night Hug Form, which targets myself, restores 2 action points, gives me Hex Ward, and craft a random witchcraft card. It was it, along with the Hug's Clause, which is this. So as long as we are a Night Hug, we will be getting a random witchcraft card and we'll be able to use our claws to deal damage. So let's discard this for Festering, and he died. Again, we don't need this, so let's pass. Now, remember when we summon our hugs, they were green here? This guy is red. It means that we have a Leyline aversion to fire in this area. So it will be a waste it will be a huge waste playing him here, because it's a unique ally with an infinite lifespan, and coming as a 0/3 creature won't be very useful in the long term. So I will just discard him and pass. We can't use herbalism yet, eventually we will.
This is terrible.
Okay, let's do Cackle. Now we can add some intense damage to our claws. Target non-witch ally is a witch. She already has a morale, but we can change it if we want to this. Lose 4, gain 8. Okay, so single combat, we have an ally, they will fight each other, he will die from the duel. He will heal himself, he is incapacitated, nothing to worry about. Let them do their things. Okay, he dropped to 1. Let's shapeshift. So the benefit of shapeshifting will come on the next turns, and reveal true form when you don't need it and you are shapeshifted can create a new card for you. We'll be adding the synergy here. We could also add it here better, but The reason I'm doing this on this card is because this card will also give us a synergy, and then we can pass it on this card to maximize our damage output, like so. And we can let him shield, be killing this one. Concealment saved him. So let's call a familiar. We can use the bat. It's a nice familiar. And I will take her card, which gives bleed and drain, and kill this guy with it. Now that he's shielded, we can also give him bleed, and that will kill him.
This is terrible.
Now notice that this ally here is unique, so his lifespan won't expire, but if we use him, if we play another familiar, he will get replaced, and we will be having the other familiar in play instead of him. Attacking will also gives us a drain ability. Let's start with bleed. Venom bleed. Festering bleed. Spread some vulnerable. So he will now take 14 damage, which can't kill him, but he will shield, meaning that we get rid of whatever problems he could cause. This one will die because of the bleed counters, and this one will be entangling, giving him a 50% chance to lose his turn. So this one will die now. We can just put him in the back. We can attack. We can use our quick special quicker. He's bleeding, so we'll give him festering. And basically that's it.
Level up.
Okay, we got a level. I will just grab a Goblin Warrior and a Foresight. But what's more important is that I can go here and get my Unfettered card. So let's add the Unfettered card into my deck. Increase nothing. We'll keep these points for now. And let's go do something else. Let's go to Erase and do the Galdorax layer. Okay, so I will shuffle so that we might get the Unfettered and see how it works. Great. So what Unfettered does is it gives synergy multicast. What multicast does? Multicast lets you take a spell and cast it to the first two enemies by creating a copy of it. So for example, I could, let's see if we can read the cards first. Okay, damage. This card ignores synergies, so we have a damage effect in the stack, right? Let's also get a multicast effect in the stack. And let's get another multicast effect in the stack. So now we have a multicast 4 that also deals damage, and if I play any card without this symbol, the effect will trigger. And it can produce all sorts of things. So for example, if I use it here on aura reading, I will draw 4 cards, I will give vulnerable to 3 enemies and deal damage. Vulnerable 3 to 4 enemies and deal damage to 4 enemies. But if let's say I had 2 enemies here, then this card, even if it had multicast 6, it will still trigger twice. Okay. What about this card? It will craft 4 witchcraft cards, it will also deal damage and gives us strain. This will give bleed, festering and deal damage. And anyway, I think I will go with this. Now notice my concentration here. We affected all these 4, but each spell costed us, each multicast instance costed us 1 concentration. And now if we play more actions, we can play 1 more action and then we'll start accumulating fatigue. Let's play Foretell. Effortless actions won't accumulate, won't break concentration points as long as you are not fatigued and as long as you don't use a multicast action. Okay, let's use effigy, add it here. Now each action we are playing starts to cost more. This one will cost 3. We can attack here, play one of our hugs. We can't control more than 2 allies, so this ally got dismissed automatically. And we will pass now, and we'll get 1 attack. Healing also removed his bleed counters. We got our attack, we got a flank. Let's control this guy after we kill. Maybe attack this one. This one is shielded, so what I will do instead, I will give him bleed with my bat and then use this. And now we applied bleed because we played the card with festering, and again and again. We don't have Shapeshift, so this didn't work, but it's good. These guys will die from the stacks they have. The other guy will get defensive stance and attack, but his success will be short-lived. So I will stop this video here. I hope you got a bit better understanding of how to make most of the synergies, how to use shapeshift, what ripple effects are and what they do, and how to use multicast to apply more effects. Now if we did have a card that already had multicast, we could also apply synergies to it to have these effects apply to more than 1 enemies in a similar fashion. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be seeing you next time. Bye bye.